We're ready. We're streaming. We're going live, Lauren.
We'll do it live.
We are live now.
We are live.
I think we're officially live. Let's see.
Hello.
Let's see what happens here. Come on,
We're seeing
YouTube.
what happens.
Come on, YouTube. Come on. We're live. There we are. There we are. Like, oh, over there. No. Oh, there. Ah.
Oh my
Hello, everyone. Welcome to
Hello.
another week of Final Fantasy discussions.
And delays.
And our discussion was also slightly delayed.
Yeah.
An ode to Final Fantasy and Square Enix.
I know, we're on brand.
Yeah.
We're on brand.
Welcome to everyone who's in the chat so far. Lewis, Navi, Anthony, and Rachel.
Welcome, everyone.
How are you all this week? Hopefully it's been a good week for everyone. It's been a pretty good week for us, I think.
Yeah, it's been alright. It's just been busy. Really
It's been
busy.
a very, very busy week. A very, very busy week. And yeah, it had an interesting conclusion to the weekdays where we were kind of chilling out, I think. We were just about to record another video and Square Enix decided to drop the bombshell that Comrades Final Fantasy 15 was being delayed.
Yep.
Friday evening. Well, it wasn't Friday evening for obviously other parts of the world.
Yeah, but for us it was Friday,
Friday
evening.
Friday
Aw,
evening for
we're the
us.
cutest. Oh. My hair is quite messy today, though. Sorry.
You're okay, Lawrence. Yeah, so I mean, like that was an interesting thing to happen. I guess we kind of looked at each other and were just like, "That's not even remotely surprising at this point."
I know.
Which is
But
quite
the worst
bad.
bit was that we released the video, of course, on the delay, and then at that point there was no information on the new release date.
Nope.
And then right after we posted it up, literally an hour after we posted it up, they announced the release date.
Yeah.
They were just like, "Thanks, Square Enix. Thank you."
Yeah.
Thank you
I mean,
so much.
it was a bit strange because they did
Oh, thank you, Rachel.
they did the kind of statement on the Japanese official website
Yeah.
saying that it was being delayed so they could fine tune the items and stuff within the game, and they were trying to make sure that it was the most positive experience possible for everyone to play, which is fair enough. And they said check back for future updates. Then they pretty much replicated the same statement on the UK and the American sites, just a bit more kind of cut down.
Yeah.
And yeah, but then at TwitchCon they announced the new release date the same day that they'd put out the announcements.
They might as well have just announced the release date at that time.
Yeah,
I just don't understand.
What was the delay in? What was the point in delay? Yeah.
Delay in the
Why
release date
delay it by like half a day
I know.
it just makes no real sense.
No.
But they also announced the price. So yeah, Japanese gamers they've had a price hike on their one. So not only did they announce the delay for Japanese gamers, they announced that they were increasing the price of it.
It's just such a shame. I mean, why are they increasing the price?
I don't know.
Is it just because of how much has had to go into making the game?
I think they're trying to make it.
or-
I think it's to do with exchange rates. So I think they're trying to make sure there's parity across the different regions. But didn't
Yeah.
they? I think in the video you said it was like $17.50, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually going to be 20 for the US.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
seriously?
So it's basically you might as well just buy the season pass because at that point,
Yeah. It's cheaper to just do it that way, and then
Yeah.
at least you get the DLC as well.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, like obviously the reason we wanted to have this as a discussion today is because obviously Comrades has been delayed. Yeah, it wasn't delayed by very much. It's only been delayed essentially by just over a week.
Or so, yeah.
It's now coming out on the 7th of November for anyone who's interested. It was one of my predicted dates. I said it was going to come out on the 7th or the 14th.
Good job, girls.
It wasn't that hard to predict, really.
Yeah.
It was.
A Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously with Square Enix, it's becoming more of a consistent trend across things.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan Tillett has very conveniently mentioned there that obviously if something doesn't have a release date, it can't be delayed. Well, Square Enix seem to do very well with that either way.
Yeah.
They, I think in the last 12 months, they've probably delayed like 6-7 games.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like they started with, they had Final Fantasy 15, didn't they?
Well, Justice Monsters 5 was delayed
And then
before
Justice
that.
Monsters 5
So
was
that's 2.
delayed.
Nero-
King's Knight basically didn't come
King's
out.
Knight was, they got massively delayed. Nier
Did Nier
Automata
Automata? Yeah.
got delayed.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2.8 got delayed.
Yeah.
Monsters of the Deep has just been delayed.
Like
and
everything is
Comrades
delayed.
has just been delayed. So that's
Yeah.
seven games. Now, there could be more. That's just the one that I'm coming off
that
the top of my
we can think
head.
of at the moment. And yeah, like it's kind of it's really not good for their reputation.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the whole other side of it is that it's obviously better to delay something and have it come out as a good game as opposed to not delaying it and just releasing something that's not gonna...
Yeah, I mean, like it makes sense. Like you don't want to release something if it's not finished or you're not confident with it. But at the same time, it's just like, why? What's going on? Like, what are they not telling us about what's going on there? Like, they could have said, like, technical stuff, but I don't know if they even did. Did they release any statements saying, like, what?
For Comrades?
Yeah, like, what
No,
delayed it?
they just said that there was, like,
delayed.
fine-tuning of items or something. And it was a pretty ambiguous thing. It's more the fact that I don't understand why they keep delaying things so soon after they announced the release date.
Yeah.
Like Monsters of the Deep, they announced the release date in June.
Yeah.
And said it was coming out in September. 3 months later.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got delayed to November. Like, how can you mess up the release date? Surely it would be at the point. Shirley, don't call me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley.
Surely you'd be at the point where if you're going to announce the release date, you must have a pretty clear path to release. Like, how do things keep happening where once they've announced the release date, that things end up just being delayed all the time? Like, there's got to be some kind of weird process happening. Like, they can't.
It's like jinxing.
They can't just keep encountering problems that they don't know how to fix.
Yeah, it's like a jinx. They just always jinx themselves. They should just not have release dates and just be like, it's coming out.
Well, I don't know if it was in this chat or it was a discussion I was having with someone else, but so the whole kind of USP of Monsters of the Deep was that it was going to be the first VR fishing game.
Yeah.
And then because they've delayed it,
one.
It's not the first VR fishing game anymore.
It's not the first VR fishing game, no.
So they lost their USP.
Oh, it was hilarious. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, that is hilarious. They're not even the first fishing game, VR fishing game.
Yeah. So, how many of you guys are... I mean, obviously the delays are something that we're, I guess, becoming used to. Like, we're getting used to the delays now, which is not...
like, pretty much every release date we should just treat with a grain of salt at this point.
I mean, even with Kingdom Hearts 3, they've obviously announced that it's going to have a 2018 release window. I mean, at this point, there's a good chance that they will just not release it that next year.
Yeah.
Just come out 2019.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it is a valid point that, like, developing games are, you never know what's going to come. And really, like, I mean, this is the first sort of mainline game that's had, like, this kind of level of a multiplayer component for Final Fantasy, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like... So it's something that they've not done before.
But the whole thing was that they did the testing in August.
Yeah.
And then they announced the release date in September.
Yeah.
A month before it was supposed to come out.
Yeah.
Like, what? I don't know.
It is, I don't know.
It's a bit silly. Either way, everyone who's in the chat at the moment, can you, if you're enjoying what we're discussing, you're having a good time, please feel free to like the stream. And I was going to ask the question of, are you bothered by the delays that keep happening? Like, is it a weird thing for you?
Like, it's not necessarily that the delay is happening. It's just that there's, like, so many delays.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with, like... I mean, obviously, with Final Fantasy 15, a game of that magnitude... Typically, I think when games get delayed... Obviously, Uncharted 4 got delayed.
Yeah.
But they typically do it, like, quite far in advance. It's not like a... couple of weeks before they're gonna go like, oh, sorry, we're not gonna release anymore on time. At least I think Uncharted 4 was quite far in advance, but obviously Final Fantasy 15, it was kind of an overall thing of people have been waiting a hell of a long time for this game.
Yeah,
people had booked tons of time off, like all these kind of things, and they only announced a delay like 6 weeks before it was coming out or something like that, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a bit more. Maybe it was just under 8 weeks, I think, because it was the beginning of August, I think, and it was supposed to come out at the end of September.
Yeah.
But like, it was just like when it's like the delay of Comrades doesn't really affect anyone. I don't think too much. Like, I don't think too many people are planning their lives around Monsters of the Deep. But like a much bigger game like Final Fantasy 15, like obviously those things happen. Like mobile games again, like I think the mobile games it's more an embarrassment than anything else. I think because it's not with the mobile games, it hasn't just been like a delay for 2 weeks. It's been delays for like a year.
Yeah.
And like with King's Knight, they did the alpha of the game in Australia and New Zealand, and they basically had to can the game and start it again from scratch, from what I understand.
And like it's not even just like Final Fantasy 15. It's like, you know, you think about Final Fantasy Agito and Final Fantasy Awakening, like they're constantly running into these problems where they either have to delay or just cancel the game whatsoever and change what they're doing. Like, I mean, you just even think about the original VR idea that they had in mind. They completely changed it in the end. Like, we're not even going to get the Prompto version of the VR experience. Well, at this moment we don't. Like, it just sort of seems like they're thinking about these things, they're constantly brainstorming these things, and it's just like, that's such a great idea, let's do that. And then just when they come to the point where they're just like, this is not working, they're just like, oh crap, hold on.
Yeah, it's very true, Rachel.
Rachel. Oh, the sass is great.
I mean, Brains Trip, like the whole thing about the kind of multiplayer component, games as a service, it was taken somewhat out of context. The investment report, obviously with Matsuda, said that it's something that they were looking into doing. They didn't remotely say they were going to stop doing single player games. They didn't say anything like that at all. What they did say, yeah, like they I mean, so obviously Tabata's come out and said that, you know, the service model of Final Fantasy 15 wasn't necessarily something they planned, it's something they just ended up having to do. But, you know, I look at what they've achieved in the last year, and aside from the fact that they didn't necessarily release a completed game, if Final Fantasy 15, we felt as the fans, was a completed game when it released last November, and then they'd done exactly what they've done now, okay, so the DLC was not so blatantly cut out of the story and other elements like that, I would have been perfectly happy with that. Like, I've been really enjoying the fact that they've released the game and then it's been a continuing topic. Now, I think the only reason that people are starting to get a bit annoyed about it is because of what Final Fantasy 15 was. They're not necessarily annoyed with the fact that it's been a consistent point of discussion throughout the last year. I think it's more the fact that the quality of the game isn't what they wanted, so therefore they don't want them to carry on doing certain things. But you know, that's a group of people, but there's still obviously plenty of people that are perfectly happy with what they've done with Final Fantasy 15. They're really excited about what they're going to do in the future, because otherwise they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, they would left the company by now.
Well, everyone would have just quit. But like, you know, I think it's really difficult for us to gauge or understand how many people are still playing Final Fantasy 15, how many people are still engaged with the content. But I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that the in-game survey they had like over 500,000 people take that survey.
Yeah.
And that's a massive amount of people that are still consistently engaging with Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
If there wasn't that level of interest, they wouldn't be doing any content next year, because they'd feel that it was a waste of time.
Like, what point? Yeah, what is the point?
I don't think Kingdom Hearts 3 will be a service model. Ooh.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the kind of thing that Nomura would be necessarily that interested in, and he hasn't even really spoke about DLC that much either.
No, I mean...
But then again, they didn't speak about Final Fantasy 15 DLC until like 3 months before launch.
I mean, based off of the fact that like 15 sold so well, I don't know if they will encourage, like sort of prod him to be like, hey, do you want to do something like this? But it's also like, it's really up in the air with Kingdom Hearts 3, if I'm honest, because we don't actually know where they're going to go after Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, we have no clue, like, after the Xehanort saga, what they're going to do after that. Like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna release like a multiplayer game for Kingdom Hearts? I mean, it would be pretty cool if they did, like a Keyblade War type game. That would be pretty sick. But yeah, we don't really know what the future is for for Kingdom Hearts 3. But I do feel like Final Fantasy 15's development will influence the future of the company and future mainline games.
Yeah, but then again, it really depends on what other directors want to do with their games.
Yeah, and that's true too.
Rachel, to your point of quality over quantity, I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, if they'd have released Final Fantasy 15 and everyone was really happy with the quality of the game, and they'd then gone on and done free updates every month, they'd provided pieces of DLC that people were largely happy with, I think we'd be sitting here now talking about what a great year it's been for Final Fantasy 15. But obviously, the game that they released the quality wasn't what everyone expected. The universe wasn't quite as good as everyone expected. The DLC they've released hasn't really been what anyone particularly wanted. I think episode Prompto was probably the best thing they've done so far, and Comrades may turn out to be good as well.
And Agnes looks good.
Yeah, but I think it's the reason why we're kind of sitting here having like there's the negativity surrounding Final Fantasy 15. Like, we see it on the videos we post up. There's people just saying like, you guys need to stop covering Final Fantasy 15. Like, we're done with this. Like,
you can't tell us what to do.
Yeah,
you're not my mother.
There's clearly people that are fed up with Final Fantasy 15 and they want it to just stop and end and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, if they'd have, the original output from them was good. If they'd have continued and done exactly what they've done now, like they've added in stuff that we didn't necessarily anticipate, and like new fun ways to play the game, then I think that would have been fine. I would have been perfectly happy with that.
Yeah. Oh, the next few games we'll deal with. Granted, I don't really follow much of the Kingdom Hearts news recently, but I didn't think that he sort of said anything lately. But there again, I'm not playing. That's the thing that I hate about, like, it's the thing that I hate about the what is it, polymorphic content.
Yeah.
I hate it so much because not everyone is into mobile games. Not everybody is into multiplayer games. Like, it's just, you have to serve one of them. Like, I hate that you have to sort of, you're forced to do something that you don't want to do. Like, I wasn't really the biggest fan of Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key. Like, I didn't get into it. Like, it was fine, but like, mobile games aren't my thing. Like, I forget about them. I just forget they're even there. I mean, I haven't played Sudoku in like ages. But either way, like, I hate that they force you to do things like that in order to get more story. And but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I mean, it was I guess somewhat nice for Tabata to come out and essentially say that they feel as though the Final Fantasy 15 universe wasn't as good as they expected.
Yeah.
It just hasn't really panned out the way they wanted it to.
I thought that he was coming clean. Like, he was being honest with everyone. And I really respect him for that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, some people came out and said that, like, he changes his answers every now and again, but it's like, time changes things. Like, his perspective's going to change. Like, okay, if he'd have come out and said, like 9 months ago, I think the launch has gone pretty well. Obviously, after you've got a year's worth of feedback, then things start to reveal themselves a bit more. And,
exactly.
And like, it's easier to have a bit more perspective after you have more time.
Yeah.
And like,
you can't just like release a game and be like, I think this is like utter crap, guys, don't buy it because I'm not happy with it.
No, I mean, that would just be that would just be silly. Like, oh,
yeah,
like, especially from the staff's perspective, like, oh, that thing you've just been slaving over. Yeah, no, I think it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. Sorry, we couldn't do any better.
But again, I don't necessarily have a problem with the universe that they tried to make. It's more the fact that it wasn't fully realized. I think I said before, like, the Mass Effect universe that they've created is until like Drew, I can't remember his name, is Drew Sharpin or something. Until he left, it was really well crafted. And
yeah,
with Final Fantasy 15, the universe just didn't seem well crafted. It just seemed kind of ill conceived. Like, they just, had no real flow between the different parts. They didn't really know what they were supposed to be doing with it, and we're still seeing that now with like the Final Fantasy 15 MMO mobile game, which I'm not going to mention by name, and like King's Knight, Justice Monsters. Like none of those really had any real purpose other than just to exist.
Yeah.
Like the VR game, like I mean, genuinely, like what is the point of it?
There's none. There
isn't any. Like it's just a cheap cash in. Like there's no actual purpose for it. There's no real point to it. And that's the kind of thing that annoys me when. I mean, it shouldn't really annoy me because I'm just not going to buy it.
Yeah.
So if they want to waste their time on it, that's up to them.
Yeah.
But they could be spending their time on something else, basically.
I know, and that's what you do sort of feel like, because you know, like how much will go into making that game and producing that game, and yeah, it is just frustrating.
Valkos, we typically stream for about an hour, just over an hour-ish. And Bloody Fatality, good morning to you two.
Good morning.
To you two?
Yeah,
you two.
Yeah.
Where are you based? If it's morning for you. It's very much evening here.
And going back to, I'm honestly, like, that's the thing that I like about Yoko Taro, is that, like, I love that he chose not to have story DLC for Nier Automata. It's a great game, singularly, and I'm happy that he didn't. If anything, I would want a new game.
And I think that's the thing that I really wish that people would, like, the creators would have a lot more, I don't know, be a bit more stubborn about.
Yeah.
Because Yoko Taro is clearly just, like, even if Square Enix said to him, you've got to do some story DLC, he'd probably just turn around and say, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, no. I don't think it's going to work. I can't make it work with what I want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously with Final Fantasy 15, they had that discussion. They were just like, all right, well, why don't we just manufacture some reason and then just make some really crappy segue in the game? Yeah. That'll work.
Yeah. Hi, Chris. But yeah, like, I mean, yeah, like, I don't understand. I don't understand the whole thing with, well, no, I do understand the whole thing with DLC. It's to make more money, isn't it? But I think it's also, like, it must be so draining, I think, for the staff to continue to do this, because, like, I
think they've got kind of like they're like a dog with a bone. Like they just want to prove that they've got this kind of real tenacity about them. They just want to fix it. They want to prove to people that Final Fantasy 15 can be a good game.
It's true, but at the same time, I do worry about making it worse. And I think somebody was saying earlier that, like, some of the stuff that they've added in kind of overcomplicate things more than they help things. Like, I guess with the new story content. Yeah, sorry. I like Kingdom Hearts. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Kingdom Hearts. One. No, I like Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep. But, yeah. Yeah, no, that's
we have many random assortments of Square Enix products behind us.
That's the only thing I've ever won in my entire life. I won a lithograph from the Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD remix
launch party,
right? Yeah. I saw seven magpies that day, and apparently that's really lucky, and we went to the launch event and I won that, and I never win a door prize.
Hey,
ever.
Lisa. Ominous. Hey, Lisa, oh my nose.
I know. No, it's just the yawning and nose itching is hard tonight.
We were very irresponsible.
We were so irresponsible last night, weren't we? I had an appletini.
Rachel, I don't think there were as many delayed games, but I think it was more the fact that games just in general had shorter time frames, and we didn't necessarily know about the delays. So I think, as we covered in one of our recentish videos about the changes to stories that people didn't necessarily know about, with Final Fantasy VII, that was supposed to come out a lot sooner than it did, and they ended up doing a lot of the kind of pre-work. They had like a rough story concept down, and then they basically had to down tools on it and then go and finish off Chrono Trigger and then come back to Final Fantasy VII at a later date. So obviously that game got delayed by 6 9-12 months more than it was supposed to be. It was supposed to come out a lot sooner. Final Fantasy 12 obviously had a pretty big delay, like a year or two. I think Final Fantasy 13. Well, Final Fantasy 13 got delayed, but not necessarily after they announced a public release date. That just got delayed because they decided to completely change the entire scope of the project. So yeah, like they have been delayed.
Yeah,
it's just that I think maybe it's because nowadays things are a lot more front and center. Like we're a lot more aware of things that are happening. There's a lot more media that's involved with all of these projects. Like as soon as anything happens, everyone's all over it. Like you know, the Comrades delay got announced and then instantly everyone's reporting on it. I mean, we did a video on it. Everyone's doing videos on the delay. Some people kind of are more like scaremongering about like things. Some people are obviously more transparent, like we are, hopefully. But yeah, I think like in the past it was more the fact that, I mean, like Kingdom Hearts 3 obviously got delayed by a year.
Yeah.
And Nomura kind of mentioned it subtly in an interview that had happened, but obviously when it got delayed we didn't know about it, and it didn't have any kind of release date.
Yeah.
I think it's only when, like with Final Fantasy 15, when you get much closer to it, that's when it's...
When the companies have become a lot more transparent about what they're doing and what's going on. It's just hard. It's a hard thing, and I don't think Square Enix was really ready for new age game developing and social media. And I mean, like he sort of says in that interview, doesn't he, how like they really want to tap into the West, but obviously Japan is such a different culture to what we have over here, and like etiquette and stuff is something that you have to develop over time and sort of learn. And obviously Western companies are probably more savvy with that kind of thing than Japanese companies. I mean, you've been doing something away, like these guys, most of them have been working there like 20 years or even more, and it's just like, you know, you have a way of doing things and that's the way that you do them. So when something else comes in, and I mean, like, how much things have evolved.
Well, I mean, it's been that constant
like
thing where like Japanese companies just struggled with HD development. They couldn't get their hands around it. And also, like, even with 2 analog sticks, they initially didn't really understand how that was supposed to work. Like they used to be extremely innovative around things, but then they just kind of lost their way a little bit.
Yeah.
You got some questions there, Lauren?
Yeah. Janie, I might do. I mean, I've been thinking about doing Final Fantasy X too, but I know that I also will get burnout if I do too much of the same thing. So I think I want to try a different game. I know I Am Setsuna has been talked about, but I think I might get a Life is Strange, if I'm honest. I don't know. I'm still deciding. That was the number 2 winner for the poll. Because I love JRPGs, but they are quite draining and they do take so long.
Yes, they do.
So long.
And then Ryan Tillett, having a discussion about directors. Yeah, so with Final Fantasy 15, like Tabata is not really that involved with the DLC they're producing. It's, I think Kenichi
and somebody
Shida
asked us how we felt about that, didn't they?
I think Kenichi Shida did episode Gladio and Ignis, and I think Gladio and Prompto. I think he's probably doing Ignis. They have another director working on Comrades. So yeah, like typically it kind of gets fed out, and Tabata's obviously, hopefully, working on the new IP with his guys.
Yeah, and sort of overseeing everything going on with Final Fantasy 15. But yeah, no, I love Life is Strange. And I really want to play through Before the Storm. But anyways, but yeah, like, I mean, I'm happy that he's kind of getting away from it, if only because I really do like Tabata's work, and I think it would be nice to see something new from him, and that he gets the chance to do it. Like, I really want him to get the chance to do his own game and explore it, but I almost sort of doubt that he will get the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was kind of disappointing that Tabata said that his new game wasn't going to come out for a long time.
Yeah.
He was talking about the fact that he essentially wants it to come out in the next console generation, and he doesn't even really know when that's going to be.
But then that's the thing as well, isn't it? It's like, it's the difference between movie development and like game development, at least writing wise, because you think about how much the directors have to do and how much they have to come up with. Like, it's a lot, at least in Square Enix. Oh, Evil Within. Ooh. But like, I just immediately thought of like Christopher Nolan, because like a lot of his films, he's sort of had the concept of or written about
a long time prior. Yeah,
a long time prior. And video games seems like such a different thing. Like, I don't even know
yeah,
if
like
Tabata has like a written thing.
That's the kind of weird thing about the
Or
games,
if
isn't
he
it?
even-
They're like, we need to make a game, come up with a story.
Or if he even knew that he was going to be directing a game of this caliber, like way back when. Because at least Christopher Nolan knew that he was doing the movies that he was writing. But Tabata, I mean, like, he could have just sort of thought, oh, well, I'm just going to be doing spin-off titles for the rest of my life. Like, you don't even know if that's going to be what you're able to do.
And I guess, like, to some degree, obviously Hollywood does the same thing. They churn out Transformers movies all the time. The Marvel films are just coming out all the time.
Yeah, and I guess they have to have like somebody.
Yeah, they've just got to make them up essentially.
Yeah.
But the difference with Hollywood though is that there will be screenwriters pitching ideas to them constantly for what they could do with these properties.
Yeah.
Whereas with Square Enix, like, they are kind of beholden to the script writers they have essentially within the company.
Yeah.
And as we've seen with like the old games like Final Fantasy VII, basically Sakaguchi came up with the concepts for the first 7 games.
Yeah.
And it was only from Final Fantasy 1 to 5, they basically he came up with the idea, everyone delivered it. Final Fantasy 6, he came up with the idea, and then Kitase and Ito worked to essentially change things. Final Fantasy 7, again, Sakaguchi came up with the idea, and Kitase and Nomura decided to not go with it, essentially. They kept some concepts in there, but that was the first game where they kind of moved away from Sakaguchi's vision.
Yeah.
But it's like, the first, like, imagine like all of those games like in quick succession as well. Like, he essentially has to come up with all these stories, and since then, like, I guess it's a bit ambiguous as to who's coming up with what, but like, yeah, like, they don't have people from all over Japan constantly writing them or pitching like scripts and scenarios and stuff.
Well,
they do. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII had different concepts suggested. So one of the concepts ended up being Xenogears instead of Final Fantasy VII. Like, they rejected that concept. They made Xenogears with it instead. So it does happen, but it's just not going to happen on the same scale. Yeah. And obviously things can get stale. Like, Najima was involved with so many of the projects as well. Like, but he never... The misconception is that he's never really come up with the concepts. Final Fantasy 13, the Fabula Nova Crystallis, is the first one he came up with the concept for, I think. I don't think he'd come up with one before that. And Final Fantasy Versus 13 was something that he like fully like conceptualized, which is why they had to go to him and ask essentially for his permission when they rejigged everything all around.
Yeah. Yeah. The live stream, I think, might have been Sakaguchi, because he did, I think it was like to deal with the death or something, like a death in his family or something, the death of his mother, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, Final Fantasy VII did still have concepts.
It did definitely still had him, but he kind of left it to his babies, his minions, to suss out, which was the great thing about it. Hey, Matthew. That's not very nice.
Could it be a compliment?
It could be a compliment, but it could also be a meanie. I just had a pole class.
But I think as Najima has spoken about, and Nomura and Kitase have spoken about before, obviously when they were working on the games in the past, they could make wholesale changes to the story throughout production. Like Final Fantasy X, about when they were around 50-60% of the game essentially complete, they binned the entire story and started up again from scratch, and they could do that because the development of the games was such less labor intensive. Like, things didn't have to be locked in. Whereas now, like, if they, with Final Fantasy 15, they're going to work on all the cutscenes. Once the cutscenes are done, they can't really change them that much because the amount of time to go back and re-render them all, come up with the new stuff and everything, like, it's a lot more difficult for them to do so. And so they have to make sure that everything is like really nailed down beforehand. And I think that that's something they've also really struggled with, like especially the older guard at Square Enix. They're so used to just changing their minds on things, like just changing entire story sequences, getting rid of characters, putting characters in, changing their motivations, everything relating to the story, just changing it whenever they felt like it, if they just didn't think it was working. Which, if you're thinking about a project, is kind of the way it needs to go. Like, there needs to be that kind of fluidity. Like, how many times do you envision something at the start and by the end you've still got that exact same perfect vision? It just doesn't, things just don't really work out that way. Like, you'll encounter things when you start actually playing the story out, like it may not work the way you thought it was going to originally, and like they're in the past they could change things a lot better to make it more coherent, whereas now they really struggle with not being able to do that.
Sorry you unsubscribed, Rhinan. And Bloody Fatality, we are together, so you can ship us. We are an OTP.
What happened?
I don't know. I just feel sad.
We do other things, Rhinan. We do a live stream every week. You don't have to watch it if you don't necessarily like it.
You don't have to watch it. You don't have to unsubscribe and leave us.
But anyone else who's enjoying the stream, please feel free to like it, the stream. Show us how much you care. You enjoy our discussions.
Hurt my feelings.
Where have we gone to? I was going on a massive tirade about stuff.
I don't know. I lost the plot.
They can figure it out or die.
Yeah.
I mean, that is essentially what will happen. Like, if they just can't figure it out, then like people will stop buying their games.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the Sonic franchise has managed to keep alive, then I'm pretty sure the Final Fantasy franchise will figure it out somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like...
Yay, Stevie Ofo.
It just might take them a while. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the likes and the compliments.
Lauren lives off the compliments.
I live.
It's fuel.
Sundays are my hopo days. I need to go to...
There will 100% guaranteed be a Final Fantasy 16. Like, it's just not even something that's even worth debating.
I think Final Fantasy 15 completely solidified that, really.
Yeah, I mean, it sold... Tabata shared during that GDC conference that he...
Yeah, it is every Sunday.
Yes, every Sunday. Yeah, he shared that they were only expecting... Well, they were going to be surprised if Final Fantasy 15 sold more than 5 million copies. Like, that was their kind of... Like, if it does really well, we're going to hit 5 million copies. And Tabata was like, nah, I can get more than that, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, thank you, Rachel. And Sonic is still alive because Sonic's Mania is amazing. I haven't played it yet, though.
No.
I'm a poser. It's because we don't play any games that are downloadable. Oh, thank you, MCR Charlotte. Thank you.
You're getting all the love now, Lauren.
I am. Just getting off the cliff.
I mean, I'm really excited to see what Tabata does next. I mean, over the past year, he's kind of made subtle references and kind of digs when kind of probed about it, that if he'd been in control of Final Fantasy 15 from the start, it wouldn't have turned out the way it did.
No.
And he's really looking forward to working on a game that's his from the beginning.
Yeah.
I generally like 12-16 Rock Band. I think they just had really low expectations because the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy just...
It didn't go the way that they wanted it to.
Everyone just got so downbeat about it. Like,
and,
by the end of it, I mean, Lightning Returns was struggling to... I don't think it passed 2 million. I think it was struggling to hit 1 million sales.
Yeah.
Like, they just kind of ground it into the ground.
Yeah. Ground it into the ground.
And just no one was really interested in it. It just wasn't... It wasn't the game that anyone really wanted. No. Obviously, fans of the franchise were still happy with it, but the sales just diminished so quickly.
To be honest, if you think about it, it's pretty bold that they even went for that type of system at that point. Like, I mean, I would have thought that they would have tried something like the Fabula Nova Crystallis after 10, when it was like still the golden age of Final Fantasy. But like, it felt like such a weird time for them to be just like, all right, we're gonna release like 3 games around the same time, and they're all gonna be based around Final Fantasy 13. And
I think it was also the fact that, again, they
didn't even know how Final Fantasy 13 was going to be.
They got into that weird period around that time when they were just announcing games too soon.
Yeah.
They got really. I think it was very much a Yuichi Wada problem.
Yeah.
They obviously were trying to get more investment, like the company, like a couple of years. I mean, it's scary to think, but the Fabula Nova Crystallis franchise was only announced like a couple of years after Square almost went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty soon afterwards.
Yeah.
And at that point, they were just trying to do whatever they could to get people excited in the franchise again. And also the fact that Final Fantasy 12 had been delayed at that point. They were just desperate to try and get people interested. They like created so many spin-off games and like whatever they could to try and get the Final Fantasy name out there, they were doing. I don't think they necessarily envisioned that it would take so long for the FNC games to come out.
Yeah.
But they just created their own problems. Like, Tabata was more than happy to work on Agate, but they kept saying, no, you got to work on this now, you got to work on that now, you got to work on this now. And so no one worked on it. And then it ended up coming out, 4 or 5 years after they announced it.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13 came out, 4 years after they announced it. 15, obviously, was now a kind of a loose association with the Fabula Nova Crystallis that came out a decade after they announced it. Like, it just they just did themselves no favors.
Oh yeah, Rachel, I mean, 13 was, I don't think 13 is that crap. Like, I really don't. But it just wasn't as, you have to be honest, it wasn't as well received as some of the other games in the series before it. But the thing that gets me though is that they're in this position where they're almost going bankrupt, but they're still taking freaking risks like no other. I mean, you think about Final Fantasy 12. They did kind of
condense things down a little bit.
They did, but you think about the gameplay in Final Fantasy 12, it's completely different to.
But I think that was already announced beforehand.
Possibly, but even still, they couldn't. Final Fantasy just seems to always take risks, which I think people in some ways about it, but at the same time I feel like it's also kind of their downfall because they take these risks and then they find that they're in too deep and they can't actually deliver what they originally intended to deliver. It'd be nicer if they stuck to what they know and just did it really well instead of the other way around. Because you think about Rockstar always they got a model with the Grand Theft Auto series and they just built upon it with every generation. They haven't really reinvented the wheel with the future losing all my names. Grand Theft Auto games. Grand Theft Auto 5 is essentially just upgraded version, the latest upgrade.
But then with 3, that was a massive
That
reinvention.
was a massive one, but they built upon it after that because they thought, you know what? 3 really worked. Let's build on 3. And what they probably should have done is that 10 really worked. Let's continue with 10. Let's continue with that sort of build up. But instead they were just no, let's make an online game. Let's make this. Let's make that. Let's try this.
I think it's
let's
just
try that.
it's
just so risky.
With is what Kataze said. With Final Fantasy 7, they took big risks with that, and it kind of paid off. And I think because of that, they then thought, we've got to keep doing similar things. We've got to keep taking these massive risks. We've got to keep iterating. And
I feel like that's what causes the delays. They're taking these massive risks, but they don't know how to fulfill them because they're not used to what they're doing. They're sort of figuring it out as they go.
But yeah, which is exactly what Dirge of Cerberus was. They were just Japan doesn't really like third-person shooters, and they don't really have much exposure to them. Let's just make one, even though we have no experience doing so.
Bloody Fatality. Don't get me wrong. I love the gameplay in Final Fantasy 15. However, it did really struggle with regards to the side quests for me. I just felt they were quite boring and they were quite samey. Like, there wasn't any real life in the characters. They could have had a story for Dino. They could have had a story for Taka, like, and Dave. Like, they could have easily had
Viv.
arcs for them. Viv. They could have easily had, like, just a beginning, middle, and end for them to make you want to play them more and to give Final Fantasy 15 a bit of a universe, like a bit of a sort of livable world. But they didn't, and I just found it really strange because they've obviously done it in the past. I mean, you have smaller characters in like the Final Fantasy X game who have a beginning, middle, and end. Owaka the 23rd has a beginning, middle, and end. You have what's her name? I want to call her Shangela, but I know that's not her name. Shalinda. You have Shalinda. You have Belgamine. Like, there's these small characters who they don't even have to have like that big of like a storyline. They just have to have a storyline, and like they almost just like forgot about it. But yeah, like, I mean, I just think Final Fantasy, they just take really risks that they're not necessarily ready for. And I think a smart decision would be like what we said in the past, is if they take the model that they had for Final Fantasy 15 and then just build on it.
Bloody Fatality, I mean, like, we still know very little about Final Fantasy VII Remake's battle system and combat.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably going to be nothing like Final Fantasy 15's.
I know, Rachel, I know. Me wanting to say Shangela. Oh, Shangela.
Yeah, like, Final Fantasy X had great side characters, and they all had like their
Yeah.
own mini storylines. Final Fantasy 15's were just incredibly
Even Trommel. I remember Trommel. Like, I remember all of them. Trommel. You know?
And oh man, what's the guy's name who does the little music thing in Final Fantasy X too? The concert guy.
Oh yeah.
I remember what it looks like.
Is it? It's not Toby, is it?
Yeah, Tobly.
Tobly. Oh, Tobly. And he just runs around. I love when he freaks out.
Yeah, getting back onto the main topic. Like, do you feel like if they said that the next Final Fantasy game wasn't going to come out for another 5 years, or they announced it and then they ended up delaying it loads, or like if Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to get delayed, it could get delayed. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like it's valid to get frustrated about it? Do you think it's just like we've got entitlement because of it?
Yeah.
Or like how do you guys feel about those scenarios? Like, because from my perspective, it is frustrating when you've got excited about something to a point and you've been waiting for it for a long time. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 again, people have been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 for ages. I mean, that's almost like a decade, right? Kingdom Hearts 2 was 2006.
Yeah, but they've been too busy making other games. And to be fair, like, that's kind of like Nomura's problem as well. Like, I mean, with Birth by Sleep, I mean, granted, it probably was because it was on the PSP, but my biggest complaint about Birth by Sleep was that, like, the worlds just felt empty. Like, they just feel empty. And I wish that they could learn something from Yoko Taro, because I feel like Yoko Taro, even though he doesn't include that much, like, he is so talented in being able to create a world that feels like it's lived in. There's so many characters in Nier that affect you in ways that you just don't really expect. And that's what Final Fantasy needs back.
I mean, like, do you feel like so 12-16 Rockman, obviously you said, like, do you feel like if they delayed Final Fantasy 15 for a year, let's say, they could have incorporated like most of the elements they wanted to do, they could have fixed the story the way they wanted to, would you have been happy with them saying, actually, no, it's not going to come out now until the end of 2017? Like, because I feel like what they kind of did what they had to do. Whether or not we like it, I think it's better they just got the game out and then they can move on.
Yeah.
As opposed to still delaying it even further, like just the ambiguity around when it's going to come out. I don't know. I'm glad that they just finally released it.
Yeah.
Irrespective
and I
of
think
kind
they
of how it turned
just
out.
kind of felt that way too. They just needed to get it out. But I mean, while we have a bit of a slow point in the conversation, I want to talk about.
Go for it.
Yeah. So one of our people in the chat, which you probably know, Lewis James, he has a little thing going on, which is for the Final Fantasy 30th anniversary, and he's basically putting together. Well, he has an album coming. And then he also is putting together one track that basically has like sound clips from all of us, from fans of the game, and all he needs is just people to submit these tracks to him so that he can put it all together. So let me get you the link to his SoundClouds. If you are in the Final Fantasy group, you'll be able to see this post. I'm gonna get a link to it. And it's a video of him explaining what he needs. But I'm excited to take part in it. It's all gonna I think it releases on either the 17th or 18th of December. And it should be fun. I think it will be really nice. It will be on the day, the actual 30th anniversary of the game releasing. So it's really cool. But here is the link to the group page.
Permalink.
And then here is the link to his SoundCloud. But yeah, Lisa, honestly, Nier and Drakengard 3 are two completely different games. I do not like Drakengard 3. The only thing I really do like is the ending. But like Drakengard 3, But Nier, Nier is great.
Yeah.
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 That's my contribution. So yeah, if you want to check out the stuff with Lewis James, head to our group. And hopefully we'll get a lot of submissions, because it would be really great. I mean, it's really cool what he's doing, and I really hope we can all support him and have our message given to the Final Fantasy gods.
Also, so last week we spoke about the fact that we were thinking about making a Discord server.
Yes.
We have since made the Discord server. So here is a link to the Discord server. If you are interested in joining, just sign up, join in the discussions. We've had loads of fun chats this week. We've got a load of Patreon supporters in there at the moment to kind of bump up the numbers. But yeah, if you want to join and talk to us about what's going on, feel free. It's probably the easiest way to talk to us personally.
Yeah, because and we've been having a problem with like Patreon messages. Like we send messages out to people and then we just don't get a response. I think because like the notifications are just like horrible on Patreon. So we definitely want to connect better with everyone and have a place where we can all chat. But
yeah, I mean, it's essentially Discord is essentially Skype for gamers. So if you haven't got an account, it's really straightforward to sign up for one. And you can essentially just use it like you do with Skype.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's more of a modernized version of Skype, let's say. So you can do voice chats in it. You can use it for like TeamSpeak stuff.
Yeah, I accidentally had voice chat on one day.
But yeah, we've got different kind of chat rooms in there to talk about different topics. So if you're into the mobile games, you can talk about those with other people that are. Likewise, like we've got the dedicated stuff to talk about the podcasts and the topics we cover on the podcast. But yeah, like if you want to join the Discord, feel free. We're going to start promoting it a bit more regularly now to try and build up more of a community within that server.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can build something up there, and you guys can get more. I think like we're going to be more willing to like talk about the kind of content we're working on. Obviously Chris Hugathy, who did the Final Fantasy VII Sins and Triumphs, and then recently the What If Steiner Died video.
So positive.
He's in there. Like we're more than happy to just talk about most things, I think. And there's obviously loads of other people you can talk to as well if we're not around.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, just to reiterate what Lewis James was saying, He just wrote a lovely description, so I'll repeat it to everyone. It's 10 words or less recorded of your voice of what Final Fantasy means to you. 3 seconds of silence, and then you shout "Happy Anniversary," and then you send all the recordings to ffanniversary@gmail.com.
Yes.
So yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to discuss, Lauren?
Not necessarily. I mean, Chaos Breaker. Don't apologize for being late to the chat. It's okay. But for an actual Final Fantasy IX remake, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the remaster is good enough, really. I mean, I don't see what else they can really do with Final Fantasy IX.
Who knows when the Final Fantasy VII Remake first part is going to come out? Who knows when it's going to conclude? Mm-hmm. After that, they've said that they pretty much would want to make 6 next.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think like there's other games in the series that definitely deserve it.
Well, I mean, yeah,
well, maybe not deserve it, but probably would get the first.
The next remake they're going to do is going to be 5 or 6 because 5 and 6 are the only ones that. Well, that's chronologically the next. 5 is the next one that needs to be remade because they've already done 1 through 4.
But it's also like really crazy because like I mean. You know, you have to think about whether or not the Final Fantasy VII Remake is even going to be a success. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to sell.
Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to sell bucket loads.
But it's whether or not the reputation is tarnished.
Yeah, because, I mean, the whole thing about doing the parts, again, like, if the first part is stellar, amazing, everyone thinks it's the best thing ever, parts 2 and 3... Well, part 2 will definitely sell. If the first part is kind of... I'd say if it comes out like Final Fantasy 15 has, and like it's kind of like that mixed response. Yeah. The second part is not going to do that great compared to the first, and then if the second one has the same response, and by the time they get to the third part, the fourth part, the sales would have diminished quite a lot. So as an overall product, the 3 or 4 games would have sold a decent number of copies, but maybe the appetite won't be there for it. But then again, like I mean, like if they announce the Final Fantasy VI remake, the fan base would still care.
The fan base would still care, but yeah, it's whether or not they would deem it feasible. Really, I hope that Final Fantasy 16 is a new story. I mean, like all the other ones have been. It wouldn't be Final Fantasy
16 otherwise, would it?
Exactly. So I hope it's a new story. But no, I like. There is a part of me that really would love a Final Fantasy VIII remake, but I can't deny the fact that Final Fantasy VI has like a major pull within the fan base.
It does.
And I do like Final Fantasy VI, but honestly, like we don't know what they're going to do with Vincent and Yuffie. That game.
20 billion characters.
You have like 20 freaking characters. Who are they going to leave out? Like, how are they going to work that in?
They're going to have everyone in it.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, we have to see Sabin suplexing a train in person. Or, sorry, in like HD graphics.
Actually, I don't know if you were joking when you said plus a movie plus 3 Thai mobile games plus the Japanese-only novel. Katazi did say that the Final Fantasy universe, well, the Final Fantasy VII remake is going to have potentially another movie. There's probably going to be some mobile games that they're going to create around it. Like they're going to create another kind of compilation, which I don't know how that's going to pan out.
Yeah.
Or what it's going to be included with. It may end up being nothing, but he just said that he's got to he's going to try and think of creative ways to get people to remain interested between the release of the parts.
But yeah, I mean, like with Final Fantasy VI, I really think that they would make a proper remake, but I really don't think that they should make a sequel of it because what are they going to talk about? Kefka's like gone. Like
Terra's.
I don't know how they're going to redo that story. Terra is a mommy. Yay! Locke and Celeste still haven't gotten together. Damn it.
You can answer that question. I don't know what you said.
Or the
Chaos
which
Breaker.
One? Chaos Breaker. Are they really doing a game extending the story with Yuffie? I didn't say that. I don't know about that, but I'm just saying about the sense that people are people are wondering whether or not Vincent and Yuffie are going to be optional characters anymore, or if they're actually going to be.
I don't think they will be.
If they're actually going to be in it.
It would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah,
for the fan base
like
if they...
to dedicate it to the older ones, but I just don't know how that they'd implement that.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea whatsoever. I don't have the Scoobies, some might say.
I don't think people are really scared about remakes. I think people just kind of think.
Remakes can be good. I mean,
they can be good.
Obviously, it's more the thing that it adds an extra pressure that you don't necessarily need.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing with Hollywood is that when films are remade, it's not done by the same people. It's another person's interpretation. Whereas with this one, it's done by the same people.
It's okay, Chaos Breaker. Don't worry about.
Like, if this doesn't turn out too well, then like Nomura's reputation could be like they're not going to have the. People aren't going to look too favorably on it. Obviously, people will still remember they did the original one, but if the Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't pan out so well, it's the more recent one, let's say. So there's a lot riding on them from a career perspective.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all like, I think they said that most of them are in their 50s now, so they're probably going to retire soon anyway.
And Rachel, that's exactly right too, and that's what Nomura says. Like, if people really have a problem with the remake, they can play the original. The original is always there.
It's available on every single platform.
Apparently.
Every single Sony platform.
Yeah.
And the PC.
What grade would we give them? I would say C, because they haven't really done much except give us pens and 2 plushies.
Oh, and now there's a pop-up.
And now there's a pop-up happening in London.
An art
Although we
gallery
shouldn't be too upset about that. Actually, if anybody's going to be coming to that, we're going to be at the pop-up 30th anniversary event that's happening in London on November 5th. We're going to try and come there and hang out. We're going to get like a bite to eat, whatever. Like, if you guys are around that Sunday, definitely stop by. I know it's the Sunday. I know a lot of people are probably already heading home from distant worlds, but it'd be great if you guys could hang out with us, or if we could meet some of you guys.
Yes.
Daryl does not stream his own Let's Plays.
I used to on a completely unrelated channel. My friend and I, we used to do co-op gaming. So we played games like
Gaming MDs.
Yeah, Splinter Cell Conviction. We used to play a lot of the Dynasty Warriors games.
Yeah, you love Dynasty
Samurai Warriors. We did Resident Evil. What was it
Operation
called?
Raccoon.
Operation Raccoon City. Well remembered.
I was a fan.
Did Alien Colonial Marines. We were going to do 50 Cent.
I remember Colonial Marines because you were just playing that non-stop.
We were going to do 50 Cent, but it didn't pan out. I think the online stopped working.
Yeah, the online server was down or something. But yeah, no. And then Daryl and I
Earth Defense Force as well.
Earth Defense Force. That's what I was thinking of. And then Daryl and I actually, before that, we were playing Sega games. We were playing Sega Genesis games. We were going A to Z. We only really made it to A.
We almost got to the end of A.
We almost got to the end of A, but it was like it was so hard. Like, if you want a challenge, like, some of those games were not okay. No. Like, I mean, personally, my favorite one was the Addams Family game. Like, that was my personal favorite. I thought you really liked
Adventures of Batman and Robin.
I like the Adventures of Batman and Robin, but that game is freaking hard.
It is hard.
It is. Oh, it'd be great to see you. But yeah, no, I know that it's a bit awkward.
But yes, Lauren, I think it's time for us to
skedaddle
and
go to bed. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to join the Discord server, here's a link again. Again, it's just like essentially kind of chat room. There's like a mobile app. There's the kind of web interface. There's an actual like an application you can download for Windows or Mac. You've got loads of different categories in there. I think it's more of like just an ongoing dialogue about things. Like, if you want to be more up to date with the news and stuff, then that's probably a good place for you to go. But yeah, I think it's just also a way for it's easier for us to talk to everyone, essentially, and let us know what's going on with what we're planning and stuff. Yeah. You got the Facebook group. I don't know if you want to throw that in there. Group.
Yeah, I can get it up.
And then I think we're going to be doing another giveaway soon. Probably should do another giveaway soon.
Yeah, we have some 30th anniversary peoples. We got the Chocobo, and we got the Moogle to give away. So we're definitely going to hopefully give those away.
So
we're
if
still
you
waiting
want to,
on somebody to pick up the Moogle that we just gave away.
yeah,
we're still waiting on
we may do a
response.
redraw for the Moogle.
Yeah, because I haven't had any responses. So.
But yeah, if you want to support us on Patreon, that's the best way to get into the giveaways we do. Lauren's going to whack a link in the description for you to get more access or more information about the Patreon. But yeah, I think.
And then also, I'm going to be doing the streaming tomorrow.
Yep.
At tomorrow night, so 8 p.m. BST.
Yes.
So definitely join me.
But other than that, hopefully you guys have a great rest of the weekend, and yeah, we'll see you for the live stream next Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, also, make sure you keep an eye out because we've got a massive, mega Final Fantasy VII Remake video coming out this week.
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's
gonna
really
be
long.
huge.
Oh, the editing.
All right, guys.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.